Hello. This week, we are going to be working with encountering the sacred. Actually, the sacred is my favorite word for the divine, the spiritual, God, the great mystery. I really like the word sacred. For me, it avoids many of the trappings of religion and spiritual programs. It also includes the word, or is related to the word, sacrifice. And there is a great deal of sacrifice involved in encountering the sacred. Most of it having to do with sacrificing one's ego. Recently, I've been really inspired to reread John O'Donohue's book, Anam Cara. And Anam Cara is the Celtic term for soul friend. You know, we started out this course with talking about the story of separation. And as we make this journey, we begin to discover not separation, but intimacy. And I love the very simple, maybe nerdy definition of intimacy: into me see. That's really all intimacy is. Allowing ourselves to see and be seen. And you know, in order to experience intimacy with the sacred or with anyone or anything, it's necessary to be aware of and do work with the shadow. If we think that we can avoid the shadow and really still have intimacy, we are truly deceived. Now, we sometimes, or John O'Donohue certainly has used the word soul as kind of synonymous with the sacred. What does that mean, the soul? Well, I just like to think of those three circles, you know, of where the body is the external and the mind and the ego are the next layer, and the soul, the true, authentic self, the sacred, is at my core. As we journey, and we take the journey that we've been taking in this course, any spiritual journey, as we journey, we're less fully engaged by the shadow, less fully engulfed by the shadow, I should say, because the sacred always makes itself available and sometimes very obvious to us in shadow work. I don't think anyone can really do authentic shadow work without encountering the sacred in some way. Why? Because the shadow is yet another aspect of the sacred. The sacred befriends us often in the midst of the shadow. And when we've had some encounter with the shadow, the sacred almost always reveals itself in some way. We're familiar with the story of Jacob wrestling with the angel. And he says to the angel, I won't let you go until you bless me. So there was this wrestling that went on between Jacob and the angel. And he says, I won't let you go until you bless me. And so as we do the shadow work and we kind of emerge from whatever this last piece was, the challenge then is to let go and not try to hold on to it. Sometimes our encounter with the shadow is so numinous and so delightful, or so compelling, so profound, that we want to hang on to it. We can't. We can't. Well, we can, but the consequences of trying to hang on to it is that the meaning, the spirit of it is diminished, and we just end up replaying. These mysterious experiences happen to us in a moment or many moments, and then they're gone, and we have to allow them to go. In the story that we looked at this past week in our online course, in our teaching, Terry told the story of the maggots and the gold. And we saw the young man and young woman witnessing the healing of the man, in which one side of his body was covered with maggots, and the community helped him cleanse those. And then the other side of his body was covered with gold, and the community helped him polish the gold. Now, shadow, it's important to remember this, shadow is always attended by some sort of shame. We don't want to reveal our shadow as we begin to encounter it in doing our shadow healing work. It's obviously very, very easy for us to allow the community to polish our gold. But it's very difficult for us to reveal the maggots and let the community cleanse us. And yet, with discretion and boundaries, it's important to let trusted others help us heal the shadow, because we can't heal the shadow alone. We just can't. So as we consciously encounter the sacred in this week's teaching, I'd like to share with you a little blessing and inspiration from John O'Donohue in the book Anam Cara. He says, "May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize that you are never alone, and that your soul in its brightness and belonging connects you intimately with the rhythm of the universe. May you have respect for your own individuality and difference. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique, that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life, there is something beautiful, good, and eternal happening. May you learn to see yourself with the same delight, pride, and expectation with which God sees you in every moment." Blessings to all of us as we encounter the sacred.